Hey, what is up, everybody? My name's Shinsuke Joker Fan, and welcome back to another episode of Walking Talking Dead. So this episode was amazing. It is by far one of the best videos that we have had since episode 1. So what happened in this video is so exciting. I'm so happy to talk about it. 90-minute episode, as I've been talking about. I'm very sorry that my hopefully new co-host isn't with us today. Sadly, he is under the weather. And yeah. So, let's see what happened in this episode. Well, it starts off basically kind of quiet, really slow at the beginning. We have Michonne walking, following a trail, which I'm assuming is the trail that Jesus was leaving himself, so he could find his way back to the hilltop. Then she's whistling, basically, which I believe she's whistling that, I can't remember what it's called. She's going, I can't remember what the song is, but she's whistling a song that sounds familiar to me. So yeah. But she's whistling, a couple walkers follow her, she chops them up, and then drags them away. Then it basically cuts to Rick waking up in a truck, basically, the back of a truck, with Aaron. He looks at his watch and says it's about 5:30, because obviously he still has a watch. But, so they have today, and only today, to find stuff for the Saviors. Because they might come today, they might come tomorrow, they might already be there. So, basically we see them look for something that says, keep going, all you will find is danger. Oh, trouble, sorry. Anyway, so then we cut to something that left us with a little bit of, oh, what's happening here? Which is when Jesus is in the back of the truck with Carl. We see two guys who are looking at the back with a mirror, and there's a bunch of walkers following, in front of the truck, and they decide, okay, they're clear, let's go. Jesus and Carl show from the front, and Jesus is still using something to mark his trail, so he can find his way back and tell them where they are. So, then, he goes, okay, so the trucks are moving slow enough, we can jump out and roll. And Carl says, oh, how are we going to do that? He goes, it's fine, they're going slow, we can do it. He goes, okay, you show me first. So Jesus says, okay, jumps out of the car and rolls, and hides behind another car, and waits for Carl to follow him. And Carl steps out of the blinds and goes, and he's like, you show me first. It's like, oh, I'm not going to live this down, you show me first. Okay, so then it kind of shows Carl in the back of the truck, and they start to slow down, and you can hear Negan talking. So what he does is, he picks up an assault rifle. Now, I was very angry at this scene. After this, was very angry. I was very angry indeed. Because a lot more people die than in this episode. So we will get to the anger in a minute. Now, Jesus, before he jumped, let cut across the scotch bottles, so that they would fall when they tried to pick him up. So, the man tries to pick him up as they go to load it out, and he drops him, and Carl shoots him, points a gun, says, drop your weapons! I only want Negan. No one else has to die. That is in the comics. The comics have Negan's language. English is Negan's second language. The first language is cunt, shit, bitch, fuck. Literally. In the comics, Negan says, he basically asks Carl, he says, what the fucking fuck first. Comes over and goes, did you pick that gun because it looks cool? I bet you fucking did. It's twice your size. In the comics, Carl is a short little shit. Chandler Riggs, on the other hand, is almost the same size as Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And then he shoots. Now he goes, and he says, I'm not gonna lie to you, kid, you scared the fucking shit out of me. In this, he just says, you scared the shit out of me. So, and then Carl shoots one person, and Dwight tackles him and points a gun at him. In the comics, Carl takes out another, now he shoots two people, says his line, then takes out a further four people. That makes 6 before the gun leaps out of his own hand because he cannot control it because he falls on his ass and lets go of the gun. Dwight then kicks him in the gut and goes to beat the shit out of him, and then Negan says, "Dwight, back the fuck off. You're gonna beat an undefenseless kid." Anyway, is that how to treat our new guest? In the series, that doesn't happen. Dwight just points a gun and he goes, "Now, Dwight, is that any way to treat our new guest?" And gives him a hand to get up. And basically decides, I'm going to show Carl around. Now, Negan milks the fact that he's in charge. He loves the fact he's in charge. Because when he enters a room, everybody has to kneel. That is the rule. When you see Negan, you get on your knees. So he enters a room and gets on his knees, and he explains that his people have brought food and water, and everybody can get fresh vegetables tonight with no points needed. And he turns around to Carl and goes, "It's cool, isn't it? There's respect there. It's cool, isn't it? Are they still kneeling down?" "As you were." And everybody stands back up. I'm not kidding. They are kneeling until he tells them it's okay not to kneel. So, and then he brings Carl into his own room. I was very angry as well with this. I get AMC aren't allowed to show a lot of stuff that's in the comics. In the comics, when Carl gets into Negan's room, he has, as you've already seen, he has about 7 wives, maybe 8. I think he has 7. I couldn't 100% tell you. So, in this, they're all wearing frocks. And he says, by the way, you want to stare at their titties. I don't mind. They won't mind. In the comics, they are wearing G-strings, bra, and stockings with suspenders and heels. So they're basically in underwear. I was angry at this, not because it would be sexy, because it's not true to the comics. And you realize how much of an asshole Negan is in this scene, because Daryl is already there, and he knows Carl's there, because he's seen him outside. The worst part about it is he gets Daryl to bring a tray of food to him. So, what happens is, basically, he basically talks to one of his wives, says, "I've heard that Matt and Amber are seeing each other." Now, Amber is one of his wives. He chooses a wife, and he says, "This is true." And she says, "What we talk about here is none of your business." And he says, "Hey." And he explains that he doesn't want to hurt her. So she tells him, yes, that's what's happened. And she goes, "Don't go hard on her." And he goes, "Hey, have I ever hit one of you?" And she says, "No, but I know you. There's a lot worse to come." And so he giggles a bit. So what happens then is she goes over and speaks to Amber. He goes over and goes, "Amber, baby, now you know I don't want anybody here who doesn't want to be here. So if you want to go back to Matt, that's fine. You go back to your mom and Matt, and I can give you a job. I'll give all of you the same job." And she goes, "No, it's fine. I'll stay here. Because she doesn't want to go back, not because she's scared of Negan. Well, maybe it's mostly because of that, but she doesn't want to do it because there's actually a better life being forcefully married to Negan than it is earning points with everybody else. So, what happens then is Daryl and Dwight come. Daryl has the tray of food, Negan takes a piece. And Daryl asks, he gets Carl to take the tray. And Daryl asks why he's here. He says, now, Daryl, what we talk about here is none of your business. Asshole. I'm sorry, but he's taking one conversation and putting it into his own. It's like, you asshole. And so, he gets Dwight to take Daryl back, and he tells Dwight to get the hot iron ready, and he basically gets him to take a mop. So he gets the hot iron ready. I was so psyched for this, yet so disappointed. I'll get to that in a minute. So he takes Carl into his room, aka his bedroom. Like when I said the language is fucked up, I'm not even kidding. In the comics, he says, I'm not even gonna get to fuck one of my wives tonight. Oh, today, sorry. That's in the comics. In the series, he says, I ain't gonna be able to screw one of my wives. No, sorry. No, he says, I ain't gonna be able to screw any of my wives. He goes, maybe one. So, that's one thing. So he takes Carl into his room, and he wants to think of a punishment for Carl. Because if you do something wrong, there's a punishment with Negan. That's it. That's his rules. The rules keep us alive, as his people would say. So, what happens is, it gets Carl to take his bandage off. In the comics, that is a big scene. So Carl says no at first, and he goes, excuse me? He goes, 2 of my men. You gunned down 2 of my men. In the comics, he gunned down 6. So he goes, do you really want to piss me off? That's in the comics. I will be referring to the comics because I've read a little further, but I have not read as far as my colleague who I'd like to be in next week's episode, because I think his opinion will be very much needed. So, basically what happens then is Carl takes off his hat and unravels his bandage to show his eye, which he does. And he's like, holy shit, no wonder you covered that thing up, that's gross as shit. He's like, I can see your eye socket. In the comics, Carl actually starts to cry, like with a tear. Sadly, Chandler Riggs sounds like he's crying, but there are no tears. There are no tears. So, basically, then he moves on to apologizing and goes, so, oh my God. And it's like, I want to punish you. I don't know how to, though. And he goes, now, you should keep that unraveled, because that is scary as shit. You aren't scared of nothing. Oh, by the way, talk about scared of nothing. When he enters, he says, Carl wants to know what he's going to do. And he's like, what are you going to do to me? And he goes, rule number 1, kid, don't shatter my image of you. You're a badass. In the comics, it's don't share my image of you. You're a fucking badass. You ain't scared of shit, and you won't take shit. In the comics, he says, fuck you, kid. Seriously, fuck you. In this series, because it's AMC, they can't say fuck too many times. So, he says, screw you, kid. Seriously, screw you. Anyway, skip a little further ahead as I was. So, he tells Carl to sing for him. He's like, I don't know any songs. He's like, come on, kid. What did your mom used to sing to you? What did your dad play on the radio? He goes, sing something. So he picks up Lucille and he points it at him and goes, sing me a song. So he goes, okay. And so he starts to sing, I think it's My Sunshine, something like that. And Negan is practicing beating the shit out of people. He's like, and Carl stops and he goes, don't let me distract you, boy. Keep going. So he keeps singing. And then when he stops, he goes, brilliant. So one thing, Lucille really likes getting subbed to. So one thing she likes other than English, other than I can't even remember. But anyway, basically says that she likes that other than caving in skulls. He's like, it's weird, isn't it? So he gets a knock on the door saying that the hot iron's ready. I may have left something out just there. Because you remember how in my last vlog, not my last vlog, but the vlog before that, when I said how fucked up his humor is? They fucked up that scene as well. Because he said, were you gentle? And he says, and he's like, did you treat her like a lady? He says, yes, sir. And he goes, and he says, instead of, now, if you remember that vlog, you may not, I don't blame you if you don't, but he says, did you eat her pussy like a lady? Then says, I'm just fucking with you. Baseball bat don't have a pussy. And the guy kind of giggles and leaves. In this, Negan says, did you pat her pussy like a lady? And then the guy goes, I'm just messing with you. Baseball bat don't have a pussy. And then the guy actually goes, ha 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 ha. And he goes, and then Negan's like, goes, get out. He's like, so, then Negan goes downstairs to talk about the hot iron. about how Matt has done something wrong. And he asks everybody, what are the rules? And everybody says, the rules keep us alive. And he's like, exactly. I was so angry. I was saying to myself, I was like, I will be so fucking angry if they cut out the hot iron scene, I swear to God. And he picks up the hot iron, and he's got a glove on, obviously. Dwight takes it out, hands it to him with a rod. Negan puts on a glove, and grabs the hot iron, and presses it into Matt's face. Now, Matt is like one of Negan's people. He's not an important character, but, you know. So, then what happens is, you see someone else's back, and you can hear Matt screaming. Then it shows him it getting pressed into his face a little. The comics are so much more fucking better at the hot iron, because when Negan takes off of Matt's face, half his face comes off with the iron. In this, about that much of skin came off. That was about it. And a nice little, that was about it. And so he leaves with Carl again. In the comics, he says, did you think I was going to just let you off with a song? No. What should I do with you? In this, he just says, what am I going to do with you? Should I cut your hand off, beat your skull in, press an iron against your face? And then Carl goes, you're going to jump out the window. Save me the trouble of killing you. And Negan laughs. Now, in the comics, he meets up with Rick, because Rick goes to get Carl, because Jesus comes to see him. So, instead, that scene never happens. Rick is still looking for supplies. And so is Gabriel and Spencer. Fingers crossed on something. I won't spoil it. I pray in the comics something happens to Spencer. I'm not going to tell you. Fingers crossed it happens in the next episode. So, basically, Spencer asks Gabriel, is it a sin for me to think about killing Rick, or getting Rick to die? And he says, and then Gabriel gets him to stop the car and goes, it's not a sin. It just makes you an ignorant little shit for now. And gets out the car and leaves. Now, he can hear a walker, and runs in the woods, and it's a hunter with a bow. And so he gets his climbing gear and knocks it down, basically. And finds out, and then the walker falls down as well, but dies on it, like, hits his head against a rock or something, I don't know. And then he finds a note it's made of Latin. I didn't know that until later on, but we'll give that later. Then, obviously, you've got Rosita and Eugene, who left at the same time, but Eugene is being taken with Rosita, because Rosita wants a bullet. And she basically says stuff that she wouldn't use, she didn't say, because she said to Eugene, you owe me and Abraham. You are not a survivor. You are a coward who wouldn't be here unless people protected you, and if you didn't lie. And so she goes, and if you want to make it up to me, make me a bullet. So yeah, you maybe notice I'm fucking about with my hair. It's because, this little piece. What is this doing? Back on topic. Anyway, so, yeah. So basically, then it goes on to showing, then it goes back to showing Rick, who sees it, and they find a sign that says, the only reason you have come this far is because I'm dead. And his supplies are safe. And, well, you can see he's protected his stuff really well, because there's walkers in a lake with a boat on one side. And there's a hut way in the distance. So, yeah. So, then what happens is, it shows Carl it shows back to Carl, and he goes, let's take it. So he's saying, let's take a drive. They're on a truck, and Jesus is on top of the truck. And it shows him, and he says, Daryl, I'm just taking Carl back home. I thought you were a little worried. He goes, you do anything to him. And he goes, Dwight! No, Daryl needs a little time. I'll go put him back in his box. So he takes Daryl back to the box, if you remember the big cage thing, the room he was left in. And then it shows the roof again, and Jesus isn't there. And it shows Dwight, not Dwight, jeez. And then it shows Negan later. It shows him back in Alexandria, where he's talking to Olivia. If you remember, he was going to bash her skull in, but it shows him talking to her, and he makes fun of her being fat because she says that they're starving. And so he apologizes, but Negan being Negan goes, I'd love to screw your brains out at some point. And she slaps him. You can't blame him. So he goes, hey, how about you show me around? And he's enjoying himself. He's having a ball. He's got his socks off, and he's rubbing his toes in the carpet. He's turning on the water on the taps, and he's playing darts. And then he goes, what's in here? And he goes, nothing. It's a storeroom, and it's Judith's room. And he goes over and goes, look at this little angel, and holding Judith, which, as we know, if you're a big comic book fan, you know that Judith doesn't really make it this far. But, yeah. So, then what happens is, it shows back to Daryl in his room, basically. And then you hear footsteps. He looks at the hole at the bottom of the door, and a note gets passed out. And he looks at it. He reads the first half, turns it around, and on it says, go now. And there's something pinned to the back of the paper. Then it shows Dwight, Spencer, rolling up on Rosita and Eugene, and he shows all the tins of food, and he goes, where'd you find this? Hands him the letter, and it says Latin, and Eugene goes, Latin, he goes, and Spencer says, I hated the subject, but my mom always said it'd come in handy. And she goes, oh, so you're going to give that all to Negan? He goes, yeah, that's what Rick wants us to do. And she goes, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do more. And he goes, I can't do that. He basically puts his fingers in his mouth and whistles to open the gate. And Negan's already there. And then it shows Negan on Rick's porch holding Judith, and he's like, you know, you're right. Maybe I should kill you and bury you all in the flower bed and just stay here forever, huh? And he's talking to Judith as he's doing this. So that's basically the whole episode. I enjoyed the episode. It was really exciting. It was great. But I hated a lot of the stuff, as you see. Next week's episode, I really hope Spencer dies. I really want Spencer to die. He's an ignorant asshole. In the comics, he dies. In the comics, Negan rips his guts out. Because Negan says to Spencer, he has no guts. Because he wants Negan to kill Rick so he can be in charge of Alexandria. Instead of doing it himself. And so, yeah. I really am looking forward to this episode. And really hoping that, that Rick gets a chance to meet Ezekiel and stuff. So guys, that's all I have time for. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I know it's a lot longer than most of my usual vlogs. But like I said, if you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see y'all in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.